content of each tweet, including grammatical dependencies. Again, grammatical. So it's not just the words that they use. Okay, it's the way that the words were used in relationship with each other. And again, this is machine learning. This is not exact science right now, but it's a pretty good way of starting this kind of studying analysis of big data, right? So grammatical dependencies between words to recognize uttering phrases, incitement to respond with antagonistic action. Okay, please pay attention to these words. And claims of well-founded or justified discrimination against social groups. Okay. The results of the classifier were optimal using combinations of probabilistic, rule-based, and spatial-based classifiers would have voted from the cyber hate sample that many of the terms used in cyber hate were expletives or derogatory, targeted, so basically like swear words and stuff like that, targeted at specific social groups, everybody, social groups, okay? Does this sound like anything that we say? Does this sound like anything we promote on this channel? When he was looking at this article, all he cared about was that in the article, it says it was antagonistic in terms of race, ethnicity, or religion, right? But if you bother to actually look at the study, you will see that the religion part that is being used in the algorithm is mostly to identify a group of people that identify with that religion, not the attacks on the religion itself.
Yeah, there's one small problem with that. That's not the research study I shared. This guy's a freaking liar. So basically, when Armin saw that the article absolutely destroys his claim, he decided to find another study and pass it off as if that's the study I cited, when in reality I never cited this study. And the one I cited, he completely ignored it. I mean, this guy is such a scam artist. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Islamic Defense Podcast. So, this is the second part of my response to Mr. Armin Navabi. He made 2 videos on me. So I already made a response to the first video, and this is the second one. So yeah, let's take a look at what he has to say, and then I'll make my response.
This is actually still not where we are at right now. Let's say your mom saw that you're making jokes about her policies and about her, and she decided that I'm not gonna tolerate this. In her own country, where she lives, right? Let's say she's a very powerful politician. Where she lives, she tries to make it illegal for people to make fun of her. And in other countries where she doesn't have any authority, she's trying to create an environment where people feel intimidated to make fun of her. In that situation, I would think like, you know what? Now it's not just a good idea to make fun of your mom. Now I consider it a responsibility and my duty to make fun of your mom. Every place, at any point that you try to introduce this red line for us, we have to cross it. Again, this is my activism. I see baseless red lines and I piss on them. Okay, and you guys should do the same.
Okay, so here he's contradicting himself. Just a few minutes ago, he said that the Quran is just a paper. It's nothing special.
Oh, see, nothing happens. You see? Nothing happens. Okay, this is just paper. Okay, it's nothing. Okay, nothing happens. Right?
Now he's saying that the Quran has the power to influence people to change laws of Canada.
What? When did I say Canada?
Okay, so here he's commenting the ad hoc rescue fallacy. Now, imagine you're playing football, right? And when you're playing football, someone scores on your goalpost. And then all of a sudden you claim that, this is not our goalpost. We have decided to change sides. We're now over that side. Because this is not our goalpost, you know? So basically, when you have direct evidence of something and you make up excuses for it. Another example would be something like, let's say someone is accused of murder, right? Someone has been accused of murder. And they have video footage of that person killing someone. Now the police go to him and says to him, hey, you murdered this guy. So what do you have to say for yourself? So the guy says, oh, in that video, that's not me. That's just someone who looks like me. Or someone who had a plastic surgery who made themselves look like me. Right? These are ad hoc fallacies. Okay, these are, when you have direct evidence of something, you can't just make up excuses. So, in case you guys didn't notice, in the video, he clearly says, basically he gives an analogy, right? And in his analogy, the mother is supposed to be Islam, right? Or Islamic Sharia, right? Sharia ruling. And, and he's saying that if someone insults your mother, then that's wrong. But if your mother happens to be a powerful politician who makes laws in her own country, then if you criticize her, then that's not so wrong, right? On top of that, let's say, and this is exactly what he said, that your mother is not only making laws in her own country, but she's creating an environment in other countries where people feel intimidated to make fun of her.
Let's say we had, let's say my mom was a politician.
Okay, here we go.
And my mom was powerful and she was passing laws that was affecting people's lives, right? And you are a comedian or somebody that draws, makes satire or a cartoonist, right? And you don't like her policies. So now you're making fun of my mom because she's making policies that is affecting people, and you want to bring attention to it using your comedy or your, or whatever else you do, right? In that situation, it actually makes sense, right? It's not just you're not just making fun of my mom just because you want to offend me. Now let's escalate this. This is actually still not where we are at right now. Let's say your mom saw that you're making jokes about her policies and about her, and she decided that I'm not gonna tolerate this. In her own country, where she lives, right? Let's say she's a very powerful politician. Where she lives, she's trying to make it illegal for people to make fun of her. And in other countries where she doesn't have any authority, she's trying to create an environment where people feel intimidated to make fun of her. And in other countries where she doesn't have any authority, she's trying to create an environment where people feel intimidated to make fun of her. And in other countries where she doesn't have any authority, she's trying to create an environment where people feel intimidated to make fun of her.
Now tell me, does that sound like he's talking about Muslim countries? Of course not. If this mother is supposed to be a representation of Islam or Islamic ruling, then when he says that she's trying to create an environment where non-Muslims feel intimidated to make fun of her, that means Islam is making an environment in non-Muslim countries where non-Muslims are now afraid or intimidated to make fun of Islam. That's basically what he means. And which non-Muslim country does he live in? Canada. So no, he obviously talked about Canada. He didn't say it directly, but he clearly implied it. You have to be a complete idiot to not notice this. So instead of lying, why don't you just admit what you said, Armin? I mean, you clearly said that you're clearly talking about non-Muslim countries. You're clearly talking about non-Muslim countries, and I just give you the example of Canada because that's where you live. But you're clearly talking about non-Muslim countries. But regardless, let's continue.
The first part. The first part he said that he thinks it's a contradiction between me saying that the Quran. Do you guys see the difference between me saying that this book is dangerous and its influence is dangerous? How that is not a contradiction to me saying that this is just a book and this is not hurting anybody? Do you guys see that? Do you guys see how that's not a contradiction, or should I explain it? I will explain it to you guys. But so, the difference is what is not significant is the ink and the paper. That is not what makes this influential, and that is not what makes this book significant. At least not anymore, given that we have this book on the cloud, on the internet, and there are many free apps. Okay, maybe at the point where information was being stored mostly through ink and paper, maybe at that time destroying and desecrating any form of paper would be a real threat to information, to a loss of information and content.
Okay, so here I'll admit that, to be honest, I did make a mistake, because you see, in the video, it seems like to me, or at least it seemed to me, that when he was talking about Abdullah Samer, he was saying that you can desecrate the Quran because because it's just paper, or it has no value, or it's just paper. And then later on, when he's talking about Muslims, he says that they can desecrate the Quran because it has too much value, right? It seemed like a contradiction to me, but then he later on clarified and said that he was talking about ink and not this ruling. So, however, here's the thing: he's still wrong. See, the Quran is not just ink and paper, and if anyone thinks that, they're just being stupid. Here, let me give you guys an example. Hold on. Here, you can see two things that are made of paper, right? Here, you have this paper, and then you have 5 This is 5 This is currency in my country, right? Now, if I rip this up, would that matter? Of course not. No one's gonna care, right? Okay. Because it's just paper. But if I rip this up, then people are gonna freak out, because it's not just paper, it's money. You see, Armin, whether something has value or not depends on whether we give it value. Okay? This printed paper, we gave it value. That's why it has value. Same way, if this paper, if it was given to me by some a dead relative that was very dear to me, then this paper would still have value. It would have emotional value, right? Same thing with the Quran. Now, you may have bought the Quran, and that Quran may be yours, but it doesn't matter because almost 1.2 billion people in the world has emotional attachment to that paper. You understand? It's not just paper. They have emotional attachment to that book. So when you rip it up, it does affect them. So it's not just some random book. So don't claim that it's just ink and paper. Same way, if you go and burn all your money, you're obviously going to freak out because you don't believe these are just papers. So, and that's the thing. Whether something has value or not, it depends on whether we give it value. Regardless, let's continue.
So a few days ago, on this channel, I shared a research data from Cardiff University, Hitler Project. In that data, it showed that hate speech against religion can lead to real-life violence. The article said, academics from Cardiff University, Hitler Project, collected Twitter and police-recorded crime data from London over an 8-month period to analyze whether a significant association existed. Their results show that as the number of hate tweets, those deemed to be antagonistic towards race or ethnicity, and this is important, religion, made from one location.
Okay, so the dude yelling in the background is not from me, okay, it's from his side.
Increased, so did the number of racially and religiously aggravated crimes.
Wait, let's go back here a little bit. That part is important.
Deemed to be antagonistic towards race or ethnicity, and this is important, religion, made from one location, increased, so did the number of racially and religiously aggravated crimes, which included violence, harassment, and criminal damage.
Okay, so this is very important for us to analyze carefully, okay? So what he's suggesting is that there's a study that shows that there's a correlation between hate tweets, and hate tweets, basically those deemed to be antagonistic in terms of race, ethnicity, or religion, and religion is the key part here, made from one location. As that increased, so did the number of racially and religiously aggravated crimes, which included violence, harassment, right? So I think the first thing that jumps out of this is the study seems to be the study that he's citing, which we look into right now, seems to be suggesting some correlation. But does the correlation prove the causation? And also, what is hate tweet here? What is considered a hate tweet? And the reason why he thinks that, for example, the things I say about the Quran and Prophet Muhammad, the reason why he thinks that would be accepted as hate tweet is because in this article, which is describing a research paper, in this article it says hate tweets include antagonistic tweets that are antagonistic in terms of religion as well. That's right. So tweets that are antagonistic in terms of religion. So here's something that he's not going to do, right? He's not going to go and look what hate tweets actually mean. Is it just that, like antagonistic towards religion, that makes it a hate tweet? And does that mean that being antagonistic towards religion, there's a correlation between that and the increase in aggravated crimes, which include violence and harassment? Is that a correlation that proves causation or not? Okay, so
here is commenting the strawman argument fallacy. I never said what Armin says about Quran and Prophet Muhammad is hate tweet. For example, to me, hate tweet will be spitting on the Quran or discrediting the Quran, eating the Quran, calling the Prophet various different disgusting names, etc., without any justification. This doesn't mean any type of discussion on Islam, which is critical of Islam, it's a hate tweet. That's not what I'm saying at all. For example, he's trying to make it seem like I'm trying to criticize anything being critical of Islam, period. But I'm not saying that. When I'm only talking about hateful behavior against my religion, such as desecrating someone's holy book, calling their prophet various different name or God's various different name, insulting their religion, these kind of things. There's a difference between insult and criticism. Criticism is when you understand someone's position and you respect that position, but you give your opinion on whether you think something is bad, good or bad, but you do it in an academic way. You don't just hurl insult, right? Also, another thing is that in the video that I made an inductive argument. I'm not making a deductive argument. Okay, Armin, you need to understand something. There's a difference between inductive argument and deductive argument. Inductive argument usually deals with things that are probabilistic. Okay, these are not absolute argument, they are not absolute statement. Any type of scientific argument is an inductive argument. Okay? Deductive arguments are things that we can deduce and we come to a conclusion. And deductive argument can make objective statements. So this is the difference between inductive and deductive argument. So when I made that argument about using that research data, I'm talking about an inductive argument. I'm not saying some kind of deductive argument. I'm not making an absolute statement. However, even if that's the case, it doesn't matter because it's still a damn good inductive argument. And if Armin claims to be a utilitarian liberal, then he cannot use hate speech against Islam. He cannot use blasphemy and mock other religion, because as a liberal, he has to try and deter any type of physical violence. If there's a correlation between physical violence and blasphemy, then he has to avoid it at all cost. Because when we make decisions, correlation is enough for us to either do something or not do something, even if the causation is not clear. For example, when the COVID-19 pandemic hit, a lot of people stay at home. There were lockdowns everywhere. Now, there's a strong chance that if you go outside, you're not going to get COVID-19. You're not going to get sick. And you're going to survive. Now, does that mean that you can now go outside and to the beach and have a party? Of course not. Because the risks are far greater than the reward. You could still infect older people, and they might die as a result of it. Or you might have enough money to treat yourself. A lot of different things can happen. So even if it's not the case that going outside will definitely cause you to have the virus, it's still, from a decision-making point of view, better for you to stay home, because there's a strong correlation between going outside and getting the virus, even though going outside doesn't directly will lead you to get the virus. What I mean is that even if you go outside, there's no direct causation that says that you will get the virus just because you went outside. But there is a correlation there. Same thing with blasphemy. Now, just because there is a correlation between hate speech and violence does not mean hate speech directly causes violence. However, there is a correlation. And since the risk of violence is too great, therefore blasphemy or mocking other people's religion should be abandoned, regardless. Let me make this argument. Premise 1. Blasphemy can lead to physical violence. Premise 2. Anything that can lead to physical violence should be avoided. Conclusion. Therefore, blasphemy should be avoided. Let's continue.
Content of each tweet, including grammatical dependencies and grammatical. So it's not just the words that they use, okay? It's the way that the words were used in relationship with each other. And again, this is machine learning. This is not exact science right now, but it's a pretty good way of starting this kind of studying, analysis of big data, right? So grammatical dependencies between words to recognize uttering phrases, incitement to respond with antagonistic action. Okay, please pay attention to these words. And claims of well-founded or justified discrimination against social groups. Okay. The results of the classifier were optimal using combinations of probabilistic, rule-based, and spatial-based classifiers would have voted from the cyber hate sample that many of the terms used in cyber hate were expletives or derogatory, targeted, so basically like swear words and stuff like that, targeted at specific social groups, everybody, social groups, okay? The sample contained words that are well-known derogatory terms for Black, Asian, and Muslim social groups. Again, oh no, it's going in a different direction than I thought. But okay, but this is important, guys. Cyber hate sample of calls for collective action. That's an example of the trigger words that will suggest that this is a hate speech, okay? Calls for collective action and hateful incitement towards social groups. Again, towards social groups, okay? Not ideas, okay? Exhibiting protected characteristics. For instance, there were exclamations such as, there you go, send them home. Send them home, okay? Does this sound like a phrase against certain ideas or certain group of people? A group of people, okay? Or here's another one. Get them out. Oof, here's one. Can I even say this? I'm not even gonna say this. You guys just watch it. Where does it go? Why? Oh, here. You guys can read that? Can you guys see that on the screen? I'm not gonna read this. Does this sound like anything that we say? Does this sound like anything we promote on this channel? When he was looking at this article, all he cared about was that in the article, it says it was antagonistic in terms of race, ethnicity, or religion, right? But if you bother to actually look at the study, you will see that the religion part that is being used in the algorithm is mostly to identify a group of people that identify with that religion, not the attack on the religion itself.
Yeah, there's one small problem with that. That's not the research study I shared. This guy's a freaking liar. I mean, in my video, I shared an article, and in that article, if you go underneath, and you can see that they actually shared the actual research data that they made the article based on. Here, let me show you guys.
That this hurts our feelings, okay? Right? What would you feel?
Here in the abstract, the research clearly says that it's not just talking about social group, but antagonistic speech against religion as well. Here, the study says, we link police crime census and Twitter data to establish a temporal and spatial association between online hate speech that targets race and religion and offline racially and religiously aggravated crimes in London over an 8-month period. So they clearly say that this research data establishes a link between online hate speech against religion and physical violence against religious minorities in real life. However, that's not all. I actually found a research data he cited in Google Scholar, the study he showed. And that study is from 2015. And the one I shared was from 2019. So the study that I shared was actually the latest study. And not only that, that older study was done by the same people. It was done by Pete Barnabas and Matthew Williams. However, the latest one was done by 5 people. They're all social scientists or computer engineers. For example, Pete Barnabas, Matthew Williams, Amir Javed, Han Liu, and Sefa Oslam. And these are all academics and social scientists. So basically, when Armin saw that the article absolutely destroys his claim, he decided to find another study and pass it off as if that's the study I cited, when in reality, I never cited this study. And the one I cited, he completely ignored it. This guy is such a scam artist. Let me show you guys how this research study absolutely destroys Armin Navabi and the whole exposure movement about allowing blasphemy. I'll post the link of the study in the pinned comment below so you guys can check it out. Inshallah. So here, let me show you guys. Here, the study says in its introduction, our models establish a general temporal and spatial association between online hate speech targeting race and religion and offline racially and religiously aggravated crimes independent of trigger events, which means that they are again confirming that it's not just social groups that they're talking about. They're also talking about hate speech against religion as well. So yeah, they're also talking about religious hate speech. And not just that, they also cited another research from US that shows that Trump's anti-Islamic tweets led to an increase in real-life violence against Muslim minorities. The study says in hypothesis, Muller and Showers found an association between Trump's tweet and Islam-related topics and anti-Muslim hate in US counties. Again, I'll post the link to the study below so you guys can check it out. Now let's take a look at how they collected the data. So basically, the study looked at various different types of hateful tweets. The article says, working with computer scientists and supervised machine learning classifiers was built using the Weka tool to distinguish between hateful Twitter posts with a focus on race, in this case anti-black, Middle Eastern, and religion, again religion, in this case anti-Islam or Muslim type of Twitter post, and more general non-hateful posts. So basically they tried to make their algorithm differentiate between the hateful tweets against religion and race and other normal tweets. So here the study clearly says when they were looking for tweets, they looked for both anti-Muslim and anti-Islamic tweets. So it's not just social groups, okay? They also looked at anti-religious tweets as well. Anti-Islamic tweets as well. In another place, the article says, examples of hate speech tweets in our sample include, told you immigration was a mistake. So these are the type of tweets that they would collect as hateful. Send the Muslims home, integration or F off, no Sharia law, and again, notice this is important, hashtag burn the Quran. Hashtag burn the Quran. Now, does that sound like they're talking about social groups? Social groups, is that what they're talking about? By the way, this hashtag burn the Quran is absolutely damning for Armin. Why? Because this is very similar to another tweet he himself started, which is hashtag desecrate the Quran. And he himself burned the Quran a few days ago, a few years ago. which means one of the hate tweets which could possibly lead to violence against Muslims are related to desecrating the Quran, which means this type of hateful act or hateful speech or blasphemy against Islam can lead to violence. Then in the results section, they said, supporting hypothesis 2, all negative biochemical models show online hate speech targeting race and religion is positively associated with all online racially and religiously aggravated offenses, including total hate crimes in London over an 8-month period. Which means the second hypothesis, which was that online hate speech leads to real-life violence, was proven true in this study. In the discussion section, they again repeated the same thing. Our results indicate a consistent positive association between Twitter hate speech targeting race and religion and offline racially and religiously aggravated offenses in London. It shows how much of a scumbag Armin Navabi actually is. This mother effer lied to his audience about me and about my research data, the one I shared. He's a complete con artist. So if you're an ex-Muslim, I recommend you to stop following this guy. This guy is completely shady, and he's a liar, and he has no intellectual integrity. And not just that, when he was reacting to my video, all he did was insult me. He insulted me, and he didn't respond to any of my argument. He constantly strawman my argument over and over again. So this is basically what he does. This is his strategy. Number 1, listen to your opponent's argument for 5 seconds, right? Number 2, strawman your opponent's argument. Number 3, laugh at your opponent's argument. Number 4, without making any actual refutations, rinse and repeat. This is how Armin Navabi responds to his opponents. This is how stupid he actually is. By the way, Armin, insulting your opponent or insulting their argument or laughing at their argument is not a refutation. I know it's hard for you to understand, but this is ad hominem. This is not actual refutation. Do you understand? When you hear an argument, you have to actually refute the argument. Do you understand? Okay, let's continue.
Now, one counter argument could be that, but in the Quran, doesn't Allah also criticize disbelievers?
Right, so he's saying like we shouldn't do hate speech against religion, but he's predicted that we're gonna say, dude, your Quran is cover to cover hate speech. Are you telling us that hate speech is bad and hate speech promotes violence? But so he's saying he's gonna respond to that. But let's say this is gonna be beautiful.
Isn't that also hate speech? The answer is no, because there's a difference.
No, the answer is no. The Quran is different. We don't get to do hate speech. The Quran gets to do hate speech, but he says it's not even hate speech. Why the double standard? Why the double standard? Anybody?
Human being saying something versus God saying something.
It's the difference between a human being doing something and God. So yes, Deborah, ding, 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 Deborah got it, Deborah got it. So the excuse, guys, do you honestly think that the answer is going to be as childish and pathetic and moronic as we get to do it, you don't get to do it, but we get to do it because our God says so? Because do you guys think that that's gonna be the argument? That's because God said, yeah, guys. You know how a lot of theists make fun of us and say like, oh my God, guys, come on, theists do not make these childish arguments. You guys are going for the low-hanging fruit. You guys are just responding to the easiest, dumbest arguments theists make. I'm like, no, we're not doing strawman. We're not doing strawman. This is actually the arguments. These are the actual argument that these people, and again, this person thinks he's an intellectual. These are the actual arguments that they make. So let's see. Maybe I'm strawmanning him. Let's see what again. That's
Isn't that also?
Again, this guy has such low IQ. I never said because God says so, therefore it's okay for the Quran to have hate speech in it. When did I say this? This is a complete strawman. Again, why on earth would I even say that? I mean, he's an atheist. He doesn't believe in God. So, I mean, like I said, like if you're gonna strawman me, at least make a strawman that makes sense. Also, like this is a circular reason. What he thinks that I don't know that? Why would I make that argument? This is not at all what I said. Again, if you notice, he didn't even let me finish my argument. Here, listen to what I actually said in full.
Now, one counter argument could be that, but in the Quran, doesn't Allah SWT also criticize the disbelievers? Isn't that also hate speech? The answer is no, because there's a difference between human beings saying something versus God saying something. For example, in the Bible and in the Torah, there's all kinds of things that are offensive to us Muslims. However, Islam still allows them to practice their religion. While in the Quran, Allah SWT does criticize different ideas and people, he also says to his worshippers not to insult or belittle any of these people. As Muslims, we have to follow his command and respect other people's religion and not use hate speech. Allah SWT says, do not curse those they invoke besides Allah, lest they insult Allah in hostility without knowledge. You can read about this in Surah Al-An'am 6:108.
Now, does that sound like I'm saying that because God says so, therefore it's okay for Quran to have hate speech? Of course not. I'm saying the term hate speech doesn't even apply to religious scripture. Here they're commenting the faulty comparison fallacy. They're trying to compare two different things that has nothing to do with each other. They're trying to compare hate speech and criticism when they're not the same thing. There's a difference between hate speech and criticism. In my video, I talked about criticism, not hate speech. Or in that segment, I said Quran criticizes, I didn't say Quran use hate speech. To me, hate speech is any type of public speech that expresses unjustified hate or violence towards a group, against a person or a group, either intentionally or unintentionally, based on something such as race, religion, sex, etc. For example, when Armin ate the Quran or spit it out or spit on it, that was completely unjustified. To me, that was completely unjustified. And it possibly encouraged violence against Muslim minorities as well. So this, to me, is hate speech. However, there's nothing in the Quran that expresses unjustified hate speech against or violence against any group or people. Unless it's like talking about people like Abu Jahl, but that, again, that's not unjustified. It's quite the opposite. Again, as I said before, I challenge Armin to show any verse from the Quran that can be counted as unjustified hate speech. I challenge not just Armin, any online activist, ex-Muslim out there, I challenge you to provide one verse, forget 10, just one verse from the Quran that has unjustified hate speech. Again, remember, unjustified. Trust me, I would love to disturb them on this, and I would love to see Armin try to respond to this. Now, the Quran does have criticism of certain groups, but they cannot be counted as hate speech. To me, criticism is the act of giving your opinion or judgment, legal or otherwise, about the good or bad qualities of something or someone. So, which is why in the Quran, when Allah SWT says something negative about someone, that is, to me, is criticism. It's not hate speech, because they're not unjustified. They're all completely justified. But regardless, let's continue.
Hate speech? The answer is no, because there's a difference between human beings saying something versus God saying something. For example, in the Bible and in the Torah, there's all kinds of things that are offensive to us Muslims. However, Islam still allows them to practice their religion. While in the Quran, Allah does criticize different ideas and people, he also says to his worshippers not to insult or belittle any of these people. As Muslims, we have to follow his command and respect other people's religion and not use hate speech. Allah says, do not.
So only religions people get to attack other people's ideas. The problem with us guys, this is what we're lacking. We're lacking a God. Holy crap, this is an actual argument.
I never said atheists cannot criticize religion. What on earth did I say that? All I said is Islamic Sharia allows different religions to practice their faith, even though they have criticism of our belief in their books. Again, I never said atheists cannot criticize religion. I said they shouldn't use hate speech. There's a huge difference between hate speech and criticism.
Not to attack Muslims. Then his followers has no reason to obey him.
Look at it, guys. These people, the type of religious thinking, they think that you guys have like obey me. What, like none of the people who follow me, Jesus Christ, I'm not the leader of the people in our community. Like none of his followers have any reason to obey him. Guys, the framing of the mind when it comes to people following other people is so based on their own religious type of thinking that it's hard for them to step out of the mind frame to understand that when we follow other people, we don't follow them to like for them to tell us what to do and obey them. We just want to see what they say and analyze it and accept some of it. Do not accept the other ones. We don't obey the people. I follow you guys. Okay, I'm a follower of your content. Do you think has obeying you guys has ever crossed my mind? Holy crap, these people obey. Like his followers have no reason to obey him. Guys, he set you free. You don't have to obey me anymore. We must obey our holy cow. Guys, no, he set you free. He's trying to free you from my chains. You're all like, guys, he's your savior. You were my slaves up until now, and he's trying to illuminate. He's trying to bring free you. Guys, again, you're free. You have to, oh my God, I lost my following. Maybe I shouldn't have reviewed this guy. This has been a behavior mistake. Guys, know your place. Obey everything I say.
And hateful people will probably use him as an excuse.
Nope, I don't.
Again, did I say anywhere that Armin's followers obey him religiously? All I said in that clip was that when Allah SWT says something, Muslims must obey that, such as not being hateful to other people. However, if Armin says that, then his followers has no reason to listen to him. That doesn't mean I think his followers obey him in a religious sense. I never said that. If anything, I said the opposite. I'm saying that his followers doesn't have to listen to him. How does that translate to me thinking that his followers obey him? All he knows is how to strawman his opponent. Regardless, let's continue.
Anyway, I'm ready. Help me anyway. Because there's multiple countries. I enjoy seeing you offended. But in this scenario, right, you get offended is an unfortunate byproduct, and that harm is way less significant. Okay, let's clarify. I did get joy out of seeing the people that came after my family. I did some. I'm just being transparent and honest with you guys. Those specific people that came after my family, I did get some joy out of seeing them butthurt. Okay, so but most I don't like to just I don't get joy out of offending an entire group of people. That's just a byproduct. But I'm just trying to be fully transparent and honest with you guys. That the harm that we introduce to society that we live in, if we let you guys draw red lines on things that we ways we get to express ourselves, like, oh, fine, express yourself, like this, because you said we shouldn't, okay, and because you said you can't, because these red lines will turn into walls if we don't piss on them.
Is this guy for real?
Yeah, yeah, that was perfect. That was perfect. Let's see what you have to say.
Is he seriously saying that if you don't eat the Quran, Canada is going to turn into an Islamic state?
Did I look at this? He's like, is this guy serious? Is this guy serious? Is this guy seriously saying that if I don't eat the Quran, Canada will turn into an Islamic state? No, I'm not seriously saying that. I'm not even jokingly saying that. I have never said that. What on earth are you talking about? What the hell what is you talking about? When did I say that? Did you even listen to what I said? When did I say Canada will ever turn into an Islamic state? Why are you, did you dream this argument? Like, where are you getting this from? Are you insane? Show me where I said Canada is going to turn into an Islamic state ever, let alone if I desecrate the Quran or not. I have been so clear on the reasons why I desecrate the Quran. I have gone into video after. This is why I don't answer you guys anymore. Like, why are you doing this anymore, Armin? I have answered you over and over again in so much detail. And then this guy shows up like, oh, is this guy said that if I don't eat the Quran, Canada is going to turn into an Islamic state? Like, I'm like, come on. Is this what I'm dealing with? Is this a level of nuance and intellectual? Come on, give me something challenging, for God's sakes. Holy shit, what is this? These people are insane.
He is committing the ad hoc fallacy again. So he claims that he never said Canada will turn into an Islamic state. So let's listen to what he actually said.
Somebody, and they can't avoid it in any way. And what I'm doing is not helping in any way. Like, this is multiple conditions. Like, this is 3 conditions, right? And somebody asked me, like, can you stop? This is hurting me. I was like, yeah, sure. I don't want to hurt you for no reason. I don't get joy out of seeing you offended. But in this scenario, right, you being offended is an unfortunate byproduct, and that harm is way less significant than the harm that will be introduced to societies that we live in if we let you guys draw red lines around things that the ways that we get to express ourselves. Because a lot of people are like, well, fine, express yourself. Why do you have to express yourself like this? Because you said we shouldn't, okay? And because some of you say we can't. Because these red lines will turn into walls if we don't piss on them.
Now, did you notice what he said? He said that the harm that will be introduced to societies we live in.
And that harm is way less significant than the harm that will be introduced to societies that we live in. To societies that we live in.
And which society or country does he live in? Armin again? That's right, he lives in Canada. So no, Armin, you didn't directly say Canada, but you clearly implied it. Okay? You used a dog whistle. Because you know it's a dumb argument. You cannot say it publicly. You know, people like me will call you out on it. So you're using dog whistle. Okay? We're not stupid. Again, listen carefully. He said these red lines will turn into walls if you don't piss on them.
If we let you guys draw red lines around things that the ways that we get to express ourselves, if we let you guys draw red lines around things that the ways that we get to express ourselves.
If he was talking about Muslim countries, then why would he say that you're trying to draw red lines? I mean, why on earth would Muslims need to draw red lines in Muslim countries anyway? That doesn't make any sense. Obviously, he's talking about non-Muslim countries. So it's quite obvious that he's talking about Canada and other Western countries. He's using basically a dog whistle as the creepy Sharia argument because he knows that he can't actually see the actual argument because it's stupid. Regardless, sometimes you guys clearly saw that this guy has no integrity. I mean, I caught him strawmanning me multiple times. He lied about the research data. This guy has no integrity. And he's not even worth responding to be honest. But regardless, I felt like this was needed. Inshallah, I'll see you guys next time. Jazakallahu khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
ويسجد دمعي ويروح